disaster. Coming at ya, at ya. Tell you what's master. Coming at ya, at ya. Rhyme style disaster. Coming at ya, at ya. Tell you what's master. Coming at ya.
Hey.
Hello. We are live.
Yes, we are.
Yes. Thank you for tuning in to the Art of Balancing It All. And I am Pam Thompson-Smith, known as The Firm.
And I am TT Ellis, known as the Ambassador of Buzz.
Yes, it's Friday. Yes,
it's Friday.
We are excited, y'all.
Excited.
So we're glad, that you are joining us for the Art of Balancing All. This is the happiest hour. So thank you again for joining. Make sure you share with all of your friends right now. Let's take the time. Make sure everybody's sharing.
Yeah, take that time. Give us some hearts so we know you are here.
Yes. All right. We are ready to dive in to being single and dating.
Doing what? Doing what?
The quarantine. That's right.
Yes, indeed. All right. So thank you all for joining us. We can see that Ken is here. Kimberly is here. Thank you so much, you guys, for joining us. We are so excited to see you guys.
Yes. So it's been a minute, TT. We took like a 2-week break.
Yes, we did.
So we haven't been on. We've had a lot going on, and just time for a little self-care. I've had a lot going on. I lost 2 people very, very close to me within 3 weeks of each other. That's the low. And on the high, guess what? Yes. A brand new book. I'm an author. Yes. So, had to take a minute and get that launched. So we decided to just, the overall goal is the art of balancing it all, right? So we got to know when we need to step back for a second, take a deep breath, take a break, and relax, have a little self-care. So that's what we've been doing. That's what I've been doing, just trying to get mentally back together and back in the swing of things. So how about you?
Oh, it's been the same. I'm so glad we took that bye week, right? Because we teach how to balance it all. So we realized there was a lot of things going on, and we said, you know what, we're going to give ourselves some time. And then we came back and we stayed connected though, right? And we started talking about things. We had this discussion about being single, because we're both 2 beautiful single women. We were talking about the growth of just being single and all the different things that I have been going through, growing with my vision for relationships, dealing with those who I have been dating and seeing some new things. And we thought it was a great topic to bring some folks on, especially a men and women type of thing. So that's where we are. And we thought, well, why not go live? And so thank you, Ken Branson, who I see is on live, who kept pushing us to go live.
Yeah, shout out to Ken.
Really thank that. Shout out to Ken.
We're so excited. Thank you so very much, Ken, for pushing us right out into the deep.
Yes.
But yeah, so we wanted to make sure with this show that we brought you the right guests. And I promise you tonight, we've got some dope guests, including a relationship expert, and she's going to help us out. She's got some great nuggets for us. We wanted to make sure that we represented with both ladies and gents in the conversation. And then we also, our audience, we want to give you guys a chance to chime in. So if you have any comments or questions, make sure that you leave them. And so I'm really excited at this point to introduce you to our panel of guests. I'm telling you, they're dope, right? They're really, really dope. So our first guest, Elizabeth Overstreet. She is amazing. She's known as the relationship investigator. Yes, she is. She is a relationship coach, though, for women and men, helping them to have healthy, fulfilling, and loving relationships. I read this book. It's an amazing book. She's the author of the Amazon bestseller, Love You and He Will Too: The Smart Woman's Roadmap for a Happy, Healthy Relationship. She's here today. You know, she's going to drop powerful nuggets to help all of us single ladies and men tonight navigate through our challenges of dating during the pandemic. Please help me welcome Elizabeth to the Art of Balancing It All.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Hey, we are doing great. How are you doing?
It's Friday, yay day.
Yay. So we also, as we bring you guys on, you know, we just want to do a wellness check. You know, we are all going through something right now and going through this pandemic. So we just want to ask you before we put you to work, how are you doing? How are things for you and your family?
Yeah, I'm in a good place. I did lose someone too during this time period, and it was tough because, as you know, everything's so different now. We're not having the traditional funerals. A lot of them are virtual, and it was someone that was close to me. So that was tough to navigate. But other than that, my family is pretty healthy, and I'm feeling like this has been a really good time to just recalibrate.
That's right. That's right. I think that was probably, I can relate to you with that. The saddest thing for me is not being able to give someone what you feel like the memorial that they deserve. You know, so it's really hard, really hard.
Yes, indeed. So we know that it's a difficult time, and that's one reason why we're bringing you guys on to discuss the sisterhood. And so I'm excited about bringing on our next guest, who is representing the brotherhood of it all, being single and dating. He is Mr. Rob McKiver, and Mr. Rob McKiver, he's going to kill me. He's going to come on here. He's going to kill me. It's Mr. Rob McKiver. He joined us on episode 6. He was with us really, really early. Yes. Talking about how I am enough and intentional happiness. So I reached out to him and wanted him to come on and talk. He's the president of the Gents Life. His intention is to help others with designing and business owners and entrepreneurs to really get out there and grow their business, and not only their business, but their personal style. His move has heightened to mentorship. I'm so proud of him. 2 of his initiatives is Prince and Princess for a Day. Those local to North Carolina, Raleigh should know about it. And then YM4C, the program is incredible. And finally, he is also the host of Pipin podcast, where he always keeps it real. Yes. So we're bringing him on here to talk about one of his favorite topics, relationships. Hello.
What's up?
Hello.
Yes, you know, I was going to get you. I heard the McKiver, but I was.
I know.
It's all right. It's muscle memory. But how are you guys doing?
We're doing great. We're doing great. We want to do a wellness check with you as well. So how are you doing?
You know, man, honestly, it's kind of been a blessing in disguise. I mean, I know the world over sees it as a bad thing, but for me, actually being able to like rest, you know, like that's been a great thing for me. Like if you ask me to do it myself, I'm not going to do it. But having us, you know what I'm saying, quote unquote, be forced to do it, it worked out for me. I just kind of try to see the silver lining and everything. So that for me has actually been pretty good. I did lose a couple people to the corona or the COVID-19, whatever it is we're calling it. So that was unfortunate. And I think someone said it before, it wasn't like it was a virtual thing. So, you know, that kind of sucked. But, you know, as you know, I guess we all got to go sometime. It just didn't want to go like that. Right. But overall, I'm good. My baby is good. You know, she's in the room now. So everything else is love. Thank you guys for having me.
Awesome. We're super excited to have you. And that was going to be the next question, was to ask you how your baby was doing. What is she, like a month into being 16?
You know what? All of that happened like right at her sweet 16 birthday. So that kind of sucked too, right? But at the end of the day, I told her it doesn't matter. Even if this thing is over in December, we're still doing a sweet 16 birthday. For me. I don't know if it's for her, it's going to be for me. But yeah.
Exactly. I can feel you on that. My daughter turned 21 and it was right in the middle and I had to cancel the party. I told her she's 32. We're still going to have that party.
Absolutely.
We are still going to have it. Well, we've got a few dope guests on now. We've got one more coming. And she's single, y'all, and she's sassy. She's a small town girl living in a big world. She graduated from, where else? UNC Chapel Hill. Tar Heels in the house with a bachelor's degree in communication. Yes, so we're excited to have her. She also has a master's degree in public administration. Let me tell you what she likes to do. In her free time, she enjoys reading. She enjoys Zumba, working out, and spending time with the family. She's looking forward to traveling real soon, hopefully, to a new city once we get safe. Although she hasn't found her soulmate just yet. They're looking tonight. She's found solace in knowing that her true value comes from God, who God says she is versus who society says she should be. She's beautiful and she's single. Come on, y'all. Let's welcome Shamir to the show.
Hey, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, what's up? What's up? Happy Friday.
Yes. Happy Friday.
Yeah. Thank y'all so much for having me.
We're excited to have you. So as you can see, y'all, we've got some really, really dope guests. So we're just going to dive into this real juicy topic. Again, single and dating during the quarantine.
Yes, and before we dive in, we just want to thank the audience. We see that Ashinya, we see Ken, we see Kimberly. For some of the folks who, if you please comment so we can see you are here, say hi, let us know where you're coming from. We are happy to have you here. So as Pam said, we're about to dive in. We want you guys to know that you are part of the conversation if you're watching us right now. But we're going to start off with a New York Times article that came out. Pam and I saw this and we were like, whoa, like really, for real? So the New York Times article examined dating right now and said that the coronavirus, I'm going to call it the rotavirus, is changing how we date. And it actually talked about this could be permanent. This could be a permanent shift in the way that we date as we know it. So Elizabeth, do you agree with this statement? And if so, why? And let us know what types of shifts you've had in your business as a relationship expert and what type of shifts you've seen for your single clients.
Yeah, so I do think there's a shift happening now. Now, one thing I would joke about is that I feel like people are more afraid of the Rona than STD. So I joke that like people, we were out here before and there are other things that you should be cautious about, but Corona just has people really on edge, right? But I do see a shift. I see people kind of slowing down and having time to think a lot about their lives and reflect on their lives. And I think we're realizing when we don't have access to things, that the things that are really important come back to the basics, our spirituality, our relationship with our family and friends, and having someone that we can share our life with. So I do see people shifting and thinking more about it. And it's kind of ironic because before this happened, people were kind of social distancing themselves with their technology, with staying busy with whatever they had going on. And then it was like we were forced to just stand still. And at first people reacted very differently. Some people got really anxious. Some people started doing a lot of cleaning and organizing, but then we were still in quarantine. So then it was like, uh-oh, I need to reflect now. There are some things in my life I can't run away from or avoid. So I do think there's a shift that's happening right now. And I hope that the shift will continue because I think it's going to help us have better quality relationships.
That's good. That's great.
I agree.
Shamir and Rob, we're going to ask you guys the same question, like what shifts have you had to make in your personal life as it relates to being single and dating and getting to know someone under a stay-at-home order? Rob, you can kick this one off.
I agree absolutely with what Elizabeth said. I mean, it's definitely a shift. What this quarantine or Corona is forcing people to do is actually get to know each other. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times what happens is we move so fast. So we go from dating to in a full-blown relationship within a week, right? So now you're kind of forced, like you got to actually talk to people. You got to actually pick up the phone, like old school, where you got to pick up the phone and call someone. I mean, obviously you can text, but it's not that one-on-one, like that contact. You know what I mean? So it's actually just kind of shifted us backwards. We got so sometimes you have to go backwards to go forward. So I just think that's what it's done for me. As far as like if I actually want to talk to someone, it's not like, hey, meet me out at a bar or a restaurant or something like that. So it takes that uneasiness off, right? now we actually have to get to know one another once again. So I definitely agree that it's going to be a shift. Hopefully, like you said, I mean, it keeps us here. It keeps us grounded so we can actually start to get to know one another on a more personal level, you know, versus just everything fast, this microwave society that we're in, you know? So.
I can relate to you. It's the saddest thing for me. So Shamir.
Yeah, same thing. Elizabeth and Rob pretty much said everything. I remember when this first started, so this was probably like 2 months ago now. I saw a meme and it said, I feel sorry for all the beautiful people who have no conversation, right? Because now it's not enough to have a pretty face. Because
right.
you like Rob was saying, it's not like you walk in a bar and see somebody that's cute. You know, you have to have a conversation, whether it be by phone, we have FaceTime, Duo, whatever it is. You have to be able to hold a conversation, actually hold somebody's interest. Like having a pretty face is not enough anymore. So I agree with what everyone has said so far.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
That's a good one. You can't just have a pretty face.
You got to be able to communicate.
That helps. That helps, by the way. But yeah, absolutely.
We knew you were going to say that, Rob.
Had to throw that in there.
Of course, I had to say that.
Of course.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I agree too, Rob. I'm there with you.
Like, yeah.
Thank you.
Nah, you're right.
Absolutely. Again, we want to thank everybody that's watching.
Yes, indeed.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for tuning in.
Yes.
Invite your friends, because I know you have some friends that constantly having dating problems, and they need to be tuning in because we are here to help them fix them.
Yes, we are.
So invite them. There should be no shame in trying to get our relationships right. They are the core of our being. So
absolutely.
Let me get a little passionate. This is my jam.
That's right. You heard that from the expert, the relationship coach. So I've got a quote that I want to read. It's very, very powerful for singles. People misinterpret being happily single as not wanting to be in a relationship. Of course, I want to be in a relationship, but what am I going to do? Spend all that time that I'm not in one, moping around? Absolutely not. I'm going to live my life to the fullest, and I'm going to be happy right here where I am. And that's a quote by Tracy Ellis Ross. And I know for you, Shamir, that's one of your favorite quotes. So I want you to kind of tell us, you know, what you think about that quote and just how you feel.
Yeah, so I just saw that the other day, and it really landed with me because when I think about, you know, who I am at in life, right? So society says I should be married by now, have a couple kids. Some of my classmates have kids going off to college this year, and I'm so happy for them, but I'm just in a different place in my life. But if I wake up every morning feeling down because I'm not there, then I'm going to waste my whole life. I also have to accept where I am, right? Realize that while I'm not there today, there's always tomorrow. But while I am where I am right now, I need to be working on myself so that whenever he shows up, I'm already whole, right? There's somebody say, oh, I'm looking for the person to complete me. No, baby, you got to be complete right now.
That's right.
He should be your bonus person, you know, addition to you, but you need to be whole first, which I know people say, well, I know plenty of broken people that's already married and then they have a broken marriage. So we don't want that. So
yes, absolutely.
I'm okay, you know, like Kirk Franklin says, there's a difference between happy and joy. So I'm happy right now, but come on, let's be serious. A few hours from now, a few days from now, I might want a boo, right? But that's okay,
that's
because
right.
when at the end of the day, what I have is joy, and can't nobody shake that because that's who I am. That's at my core. That's what I have. So I hope I answered your question.
You did. That was powerful. That was great. That was great. I think we all probably really agree with you. So I'm just going to ask all the single people on the panel, are you happily single, TT?
Oh, you're going to go to me first. You're going to go to the host first. Actually, I am really happily single. I've been using this quarantine. This has been like a long extended meditation, just using this time to really just think about my vision for a relationship, right? And just really take this time to be just introspective, thinking about, well, when I come out of this, what do I want? I have so much clarity now on what I want out of a relationship. I have so much clarity on what I bring and what I need to bring. So yes, I am happily single. Happily single.
All right, Rob.
Yes, absolutely. So, can I be honest with you?
Absolutely, yes.
Listen, not one time during this quarantine have I thought about a relationship. Like I don't know what that means. I'll be honest with
Wow.
you. I mean, only because I think, like TT was just saying, the focus has honestly been on me. So with that being said, I know that not another soul can make me happy, but it has to start with me. You know, I
Yes.
believe relationships and things are 100-100. I don't believe in 50-50, 90-20. I think we talked about this already, right? Or 90-10. But I think I have to be whole. So I've been really just focusing on me. I haven't thought about what that other, and I'm hoping that other person who I may find, or we may find one another, is doing the same thing. So I'm absolutely happily single, man. Like I don't know. I mean, like I said, this quarantine just hit different with me for whatever reason. Like I'm literally I've been getting good with myself again. I'm balanced. You know, the art of balancing on right there. Like I'm in a good space. So yes, to answer your question.
Oh, did you want me to?
Very good. Titi's not gonna let me.
What are you?
She's not gonna let me skip over myself. But I agree. I'm going back to Tracy Ellis. Of course, I want to be in a relationship. Of course, I want to share my life with somebody. But right now, I'm good, you know, and just working on me. God continues to put different things in my path. He continues to elevate me. So I guess that's his way of saying, you know what, I got some other stuff for you to do. And as I look back, there's somebody say, pull a history report. Every time what he has for me is for me. So when he's ready, he's preparing me just as he's preparing that person, then I know it's all, you know, going to come together. So I stay encouraged. For sure, for sure. So I am, TT, I'm going to say it out loud, happily single.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So that is a great segue to our next topic. Elizabeth, you help clients prepare for finding a healthy relationship, right? You help them prepare for it. You have it in an order, in that order for a reason, which we were just talking about, which is very, very powerful. Even in a book you stated, it's also important to recognize that what you attract is the direct reflection of who you are. Ooh, did that just sting the audience? Did you feel that sting?
Yes, that's good. That's good.
Yes, Rob, we need your sound effects.
I said I wasn't gonna go there tonight, but then you just called it out, right?
I just called it out. It shows she also the end of the statement, because it was a long sting. Elizabeth had a long sting too.
Yes.
It also shows how you value yourself. Wow. So can you expound more on the importance of the first, preparing yourself, and how we can use this time, like what Rob and I were talking about, in isolation, to prepare oneself for that potential partner?
You know, I like a lot of what you guys,
Elizabeth.
yeah, I like a lot of what you guys are saying, because I do feel like when you are in a relationship, and if you have a pattern of relationships, it is a mirror of who you are. And sometimes we don't want to acknowledge that. A lot of people walk around and they're like, oh, I love myself. I love myself. But self-love is also self-accountability and recognizing patterns and breaking those patterns. But there were 3 things you guys said, and I was writing it down, that I thought was really important. Number 1, you talked about having a vision of what you want in a relationship. You know, I think it's important to visualize what you want in a relationship before you can actually have that type of relationship. The other thing is, you guys talked about the fact that you are being accountable for your own happiness. It's extremely important to be accountable for your own happiness. You can't rely on someone for your happiness. Even when we are in a happy state, that emotion can go and come at different moments. It's a fleeting emotion, but it's something that we have to be responsible for. And finally, the other thing that I think is really good about this time that you all said was that you're using it as a time to like really recalibrate, be prayerful, practice meditation, which is all about getting in tune with who you are. And I think of it too as a chance to cleanse yourself from some of the relationships you may have been in that weren't healthy relationships.
That's good. Thank you, Elizabeth. Dropping great nuggets, and my toes are turned like, ouch. Hello out there, everybody. Thank you again. If you're just joining us on Facebook Live for the happiest hour edition of the Art of Balancing It All podcast. So tonight, again, we're discussing single and dating during a quarantine. So
yeah, I like what Kimberly said. She's like, you know, I don't think anyone really wants to be single. It's the things we go through that make us decide to be single. So I do agree that sometimes you get to a point where you go through so many frustrating scenarios that it makes you want to shut down. That's a very normal feeling. But I think part of it is also like learning again. Like, I don't think even if you love yourself to death and you're happy, it doesn't mean you're not going to attract people that are difficult, that are jerks, that are unhealthy for you. But I think when you are centered with yourself, that what happens eventually is that you are more centered with seeing if something is not a good fit for you.
That's right. That's right. Thanks, Kim, too. That's a great
Yes,
comment.
indeed. Thank you.
Before expounding more on how to maintain a dating life, you know, during this pandemic and our options, guess what, y'all? First, we've got to start with the rules of engagement. Yes. Because guess what? The dating game has changed and we have some new rules. So Elizabeth, help us out. Give us the top 3 to 5 rules to dating.
Okay, I'm gonna give it to you straight. I'm a straight shooter. I think you guys are picking up on that. Number one, you have to understand what you need before you could demand it from someone else. So I coach a lot of successful women, but I also coach men too. And sometimes women will say, I want a guy that's really successful. I want a guy that looks this way. I want him to have, you know, X amount of, you know, attributes. And sometimes these are more superficial qualities, like he has to be 6 feet tall. He has to have a 6-figure job. He has to have this kind of education. And then on the other end of that, when they get that person, they're like, this guy is so busy. He never has time for me. He's so driven. So like, you can't demand or want something. And then on the other end, when you get it, not recognize what comes with that person or that personality. So I think that's where you have to get really crystal clear on what you need before you really start demanding it for someone else. And I've seen people go through that cycle in relationships, because then they'll say, well, I like this guy because the physical attributes are great and we have really good chemistry, but then they may not have the other attributes of being consistent. So it's all about finding that balance. I'm just waiting for my host to come back.
There she goes.
Okay.
Yes. So let's go to rule number 2.
Rule number 2 is love requires time and mutual effort. So one thing we all know, and I think we're a pretty mature group here, is that you cannot have a unilateral or one-sided relationship. It just doesn't work. You need to be with someone who is going to be on the same page of wanting the same things that you desire. So if you want to get married or you want to be in a committed relationship, dating someone who tells you they're not ready for that, or they're not sending you clear signals that they're looking to be committed, or that's not in there, even they're not even thinking about it, it's really a waste of your time. And then the other side of it is that, just like Rob said earlier, we're so used to dating and things happening really quick. And when they don't, we give up really quickly. But the realistic side of it, unfortunately, my parents have been married over 50 years, and I have aunts and uncles who've been married over 40 years. So I've like sat back and watched all of these relationships, is that love takes time. And even when people love each other a lot, they get mad at each other. They don't come to resolutions on everything. There's things that they may not be tied together completely on. That all of that takes time and effort. So if you're not willing to put in the time to really get to know someone, to figure out if that's the right match for you, then you really don't want a committed relationship, because that's what it entails. So that's where it ties in, 2 pieces: taking the time to get to know people, not rushing that process, letting it evolve naturally, and then recognizing if it's mutual, if you're on the same page. And if it's not mutual, not being afraid to walk away from it or to move past it. But sometimes I think what happens is we hold on hoping people will change, which is really wasted time and effort, right? Because in the end, they don't change. And we feel that, but we ignore that feeling sometimes.
Just raising my hand like, I know, right? Been there, done that.
Yes, we all. The reason, so I'm going to be very vulnerable in this moment. The reason I understand these things is because I've lived through these things. So I don't coach people to do things that are unrealistic or things I haven't experienced or things I haven't been through. I've learned a lot. I've been married, divorced. I've raised my daughter as a single parent. So I've dated as a single woman. I've dated, after being married, being divorced. And then, I've been able to figure it out, over time, and also watch and observe people who have long-term relationships and things that they do. So I want to cut people's learning time. I'm really committed to helping us figure it out a lot quicker and learn from each other and have more open dialogue about why these things happen so we can get better in our relationships.
That's right. That's right. Okay, let's move to rule number 3.
This is a big one. And you guys talked about this, you, Rob, and Shamir and Titi. You have to establish your foundation first. If you don't love yourself, who else is going to love you? If you don't appreciate what you bring to the table and your value, how is someone else going to appreciate that? So the foundation, the example I like to use with people is like a house. If a house is built on a poor foundation, it will crumble, right? But if a house is built on a solid foundation, storms can come, things can come to disrupt that house or disturb that house. But if it has a sturdy foundation, it stays intact. So if you don't build your own foundation with recognizing who you are, what you bring to the table, what your value system is, what your deal breakers are, then anyone that comes on into your life, you're more vulnerable to it because your foundation isn't strong. But if your foundation is really strong, there's still gonna be people there messing with you, not the right fit, that are gonna try to disrupt your foundation, but you're gonna recognize it and you're gonna be like, I'm not gonna allow this to mess up my foundation. I know who I am. So it's all about being sensitive to who you are first. And then after that, what you attract is like a mirror of those things. So even within myself as a relationship coach, man, I do this all the time. I listen to people, I coach people, but I've gotten caught up in situations where I'm like, whoa, wait, if I was talking to my client, what would I tell my client? And I would have kids. What would your friends, you give advice, your friends are giving you advice and they're telling you get out this relationship, but you're like, no, I think there's a little glimmer of hope and you're holding on.
Yeah.
But then the thing you can always say to someone is, if this was your daughter or son, what would you say to them in that moment? And you will get your answer right away. We won't even think twice about what we would advise our kids. So it's the same love that we got to give back to ourselves when we're in that situation or scenario too.
Absolutely. Right. And most of the time, sometimes you have the action, the action, what you should do.
Totally.
Is doing it,
We all have intuition. We all have intuition. And in hindsight, when we reflect on something that doesn't work, a lot of times it's because we ignored our intuition. We just kept going. But we knew right away. We saw things, but we were just like, well, maybe that'll go away. But our intuition was like, no, this is not, it was always there, kind of nudging you. And then in the end, you put it all together in a crystal clear way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Shamir and Rob, you've heard the rules. So what do you think? Thinking back to your personal shifts about how you dating during the quarantine, what do you think about these newfound rules that we just laid out?
You know what I think? I think I should be getting paid for this. And let me tell you why.
That is not the question,
real quick.
Rob.
Listen, let me tell you why though.
No.
Listen, I had my sound effects going on in the background. You couldn't hear it because everything that you said, I promise you, everything that you said, I've said the exact same things. For real, almost verbatim. I mean, we've never had a conversation prior to tonight, and everything that you said about those rules and everything are the exact same conversations that I'm having. So like I said, I had my sound effects going on in the background. You just couldn't hear it. But I was digging you up. I was dropping bombs. I was doing it all. I had my bells going, everything. So
Rob, you got it all figured out. Why are you single? Come
on.
Well,
here's the thing though. I do, because I got me figured out. That's a difference. I got me figured out. It's another component that goes along with that. I may be where I need to be, but I'm also deflecting the things that are not where they need to be. So
let's talk about that. Let's dig into that a little bit.
Yes.
You want to, so you've been assessing things or like where you don't want to be. So where do you feel like you've discovered are things that you have, you know, seen as patterns that you need to break? Because I think these are important things to share because people need to hear that we go through very common experiences. But for some reason, like when it comes to relationships, we're kind of like not discussing the reality of what's happening. So then when the reality happens, people are like shocked, right? And I think a lot of that's because people put on more of the pretenses of what they think the relationship should look like. But then I think it sets us up for failure. But I think when we talk about it, we can get more real about how to deal with it when we see that scenario. So tell us a couple of things we want to know.
Well, see, for me, it's like when you have those conversations with people that are not necessarily ready to receive those, it looks like you're taking shots at them. Or to them, they feel they automatically get on the defense. You know, where in all actuality, you just, like you said, time and just experience alone has taught you what it is that you're now saying. Like, okay, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, right? Let me say one thing real quick. No, but you're absolutely right, because that's one of the things that my uncle taught me, right? He was saying a lot of times when you're dating somebody, they don't want you to parent them. They don't want you to tell them no better. They want to live the way they've been living for however many years. So whenever you go to them and you tell them better, they're like, oh, no, I don't want to hear that.
And I always have this one line when I say, you know, granted, look, I'm not trying to say you should be doing anything different, but how has that been working out for you? Like, how has that worked out for you? Like, you've been doing this thing over and over, like that insanity, right? Doing the exact same thing over and over, expecting a different outcome. So how is that working out for you? And then it's like that light bulb goes off, like, right. So me personally, I mean, I have the hard conversations. That's my tagline. Have the hard conversations.
I'm going to touch a little deeper.
Okay.
So the other person out of the equation, what has like Rob learned about Rob that kind of hindered him in certain relationships before?
That I can't save everybody. Like, I'm a fixer. Like, I try to fix things, right? Like, I feel like, you know, I'll see something in you that you may not necessarily see in yourself, whether it's there or not. Like, just I'm an energy guy, right? So my energy would tell me, okay, well, see if you can help this person along, even if that means dragging you through the mud to get that person there. See if you can do that. It's that whole empathy, that empath, right?
Where do you think that came from? Like, what made you kind of like attracted to people where you felt like you had to fix them or you wanted to fix them to be better?
Me, I think it was me. Like, we talked about that whole broken individual. You know what I'm saying? Just things that have happened in my life, like, you know, coming up without a father, you know, not having that relationship with my mother and or father. So it's like, you know, you see that, and then it's like the relationship I had with my kid. You know, it's like I didn't have that. So I was either going to do one or two things. I was either going to be exactly like my father or absolutely nothing like my father. Right. So it's the same thing as it relates now to me dating. Like, I see these experiences. I've been through these experiences. Like you said, you want to get people to that point faster so they don't have to go through all this stuff. So that's how that works out for me.
So number one, that's super commendable that you look for people and you're empathetic to people who have challenges. But number two, just taking a step back, there's a couple of things you said right away that give me a sense of why you do that. It's about
fix them.
Yeah. Ayana, come on now, come through. Listen,
I love it.
And I have a question for Elizabeth. After you go through this, for sure.
Okay. There's a theme there in your childhood, you know, and I agree with you. I feel like we form our relationships based on what we model and see. So whatever was presented in front of us as children, whether it's a mom that abandoned us, whether it's a dad that was emotionally unavailable, or whether we saw parents that had abusive relationships physically or emotionally, we mirror that in the relationships we pursue. So your relationship with your daughter, you made it tighter because you didn't feel that connection with your parents, it sounds like. So you're building the opposite of that, because you don't want your daughter to ever feel what you felt. Absolutely. But conversely, when it comes to your relationships, you keep going towards people that's familiar to you, because that's your background. So I think that's super commendable and vulnerable of you to say, look, I know this is a gap in me. Like, I'm drawn to this. I want to fix people because I know what it feels like, and it's comfortable for you too.
Absolutely.
So your dating challenge would be the person who's not broken, that has their self together, because
Right.
you're like, what's my job here? What's my role?
What do I do with my hands? Like I got like.
Right. What am I going to do? I have work to do here.
Well,
That's
what can
right.
you do with your hands? I'm just gonna leave that
Hey,
alone.
where,
All right.
hold on. Where my buzzer at? Where my bell?
So number one, you have self-awareness. That's to me the most important part. Number
Indeed.
two, you recognize like, okay, I do this over and over. I need to fix this thing, which is probably why you're not thinking about a relationship, because the ones you probably have had have drained the heck out of you because you were fixing. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was that? Episode 6?
Episode 6. I am enough.
All right.
Intentional happiness.
So my challenge to you would be like, you're aware of this, to look towards women that don't need to be fixed. And it's easier, it's a simple fix, right? But it's not a simple fix because your intuition, I mean, your energy and your experience is going to make you want to run from those women because that's not familiar to you. It's like something that's new versus the woman that's broken.
I totally agree.
Exactly. And Elizabeth, I have a question for you there. If by joining into a relationship where they're both not broken, I would imagine that would take away some of the anxiety of his partner too, because when you're trying to fix a person, then they have that anxiety that they have to live up to your expectations, or it becomes a back and forth as well, right?
And the funny thing about humans is they're always going to revert back to what's comfortable. So you can push someone as much as you want, but if they don't want to be there, guess what? They're going back the other way.
Right.
So you're almost like you're on a hamster wheel. Like it's just a repetitive cycle that's like, it's not going to shift unless that person wants to shift.
I agree.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right.
Shamir, it's your turn, Shamir.
Let's hear this.
You be quiet, Rob. How about that? No. I mean, absolutely. I have a pattern, you know. And if I'm going to be really vulnerable, like I keep dating the same person, I keep dating my dad. My dad was very handsome. My dad was charming. My dad had lots of women. I mean, my dad was the man. And also, like another person who played a major role in my life was my uncle. My uncle is single and he's well into his 50s, never been married. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I date the men who mimic, you know, them. And as a matter of fact, I just stopped bringing guys home because every time I brought a guy home, Uncle would be like, "Oh, he's just like me." I'm like, "Oh, well, see, this is over." And it ended shortly after that. But I have a type, right? I like a man, you know, like kind of like a thick build, you know, very charming leader, all that kind of stuff. And they're always unavailable, right? They're not ready to settle down. And then the other part, what you were saying about number 3, I date myself because if I was to get really real, right, in front of all these people, 2020, if I were to get really real, Shamir's not ready to settle down. Like I want to be married. Of course, I want a family. But then that forever, I don't know about that. So I date people that's like that, right? They say they want to settle down. They say they want to get married to the whole shebang. But when it comes down to it, that, you know, the everyday thing, it never works out.
But you just said it yourself. You date people you know really don't want to settle down.
Yeah, they say
like,
they do, but
you don't want to settle down. So if you keep dating people who don't want to settle down, then there's no commitment or marriage on the other end. And look, this is the thing I tell people all the time. If you are comfortable being single and that's where you want to be, that's okay. Like I know there's a lot of societal pressure that says you have to be in a relationship to be happy. Some people just want to date. They want to be more around, you know, they want to have that fluidity.
It depends on what day it is, though. Like one day, like Tuesday.
Exactly.
Married today, and then by Friday, no, I ain't feeling it no more. You know, just
And then the other piece of it too is just looking more beyond the superficial. So we talked about the foundation, right? Like, you know, if you're building a house, there's a certain structure you look for. There's you know, some people like brick, some people like aluminum siding. People look at like how what the foundation under the house is. And the reason they do all that is because they want a quality structure. So I get that you want to date people that are attractive. I'm not saying date ugly people, but but things happen in a relationship. When you're with someone, things can shift. You could be with the most handsome or most attractive woman, but what if they get sick? Are you just with this person for the superficial stuff? Because to me, superficial is like looks, money. I think money's important. Don't get me wrong. I'm about people having stability in their lives, but money goes up and down. It fluctuates. Looks go up and down. They change. There's always going to be someone that looks better, has a better car, has a better, seems more fun in this moment. So those are more of the superficial qualities, but the deeper qualities are like, are they compassionate? Are they consistent? Are they honest? Can you trust them? Because like if you're with someone and you do decide, Shamir, one day to get married, you're not going to care about the fact that he's very, he's super hot. You're going to care about, okay, is this person with me? If you go through a bad situation, do they have my back? Are they going to support me through this? So I think, like, I get that we have certain things we lean into, and I think you have to balance that though with the things that are going to be more consistent, that give you more longevity in the relationship. And I think that's what a lot of marriages end, because a lot of it is superficial.
No, I had that one time too, and I ran him off. He was so nice. It was easy. He was easy breezy. He was so sweet. He was like, yes, yeah,
it's you.
Whatever. I was like, oh, this is too much. Whatever I want. I could have asked for the moon, girl.
I wanted to address something. I wanted to address something someone said in the comments. They're like, everyone is diminished, and I'm not saying that we're looking for a perfect person, but I'm saying for someone like Rob, he looks for like a highly diminished person. Like he's looking for someone that's like really got a lot going on, because that's where he's comfortable. So for him, we got to swing him to the middle, like the extreme, because he's way over here. So we got to get him here to get him to the middle, to where he sees someone that may be diminished in some way, but not diminished in ways that are detrimental to the relationship.
Right.
Coming back to Shamir, I think like you're kind of getting in your own way if you want to be in a committed relationship, because you said it. It's so weird. People always say they say what they mean. You're like, I date these guys. I know they're really not going to be available, and then when they're not available, you're disappointed probably, right? But
yeah,
you're kind of setting yourself up for it in a way.
Every time. I'm telling you now. I wasn't gonna say that tonight, but y'all done pulled it out.
That's what happens when we come on the show.
We heard it. We heard it. You
That's right.
I'm working on being transparent these days, so I'm right there with you.
You can't, you can't progress unless you acknowledge things. So we look at like Michelle. I was watching Michelle Obama's documentary, which was awesome, by the way, on Netflix about becoming and her book tour. And we look at Michelle and Barack, and we see Michelle and Barack today. But that's after 20-something years of going through a lot of stuff. A lot of things where they admitted they had to go to counseling. A lot of things where they realized that, she said it. She's like, I was relying on him for my happiness. And I realized I have to be responsible for my happiness. I was resentful because he would go work out and it seemed like he was living his best life. And she's like, I'm at home with these kids and I'm struggling, trying to do all this stuff. And then she's like, wait a minute, I got to carve out time to do these things. So I think the reason they're successful couples because they went through all of those mountains, like they had those peaks and valleys, and they grew together. And that's the patient part of love that we sometimes aren't willing to make the sacrifice for. We give up really easy early in the process.
That's powerful. That's good.
It is.
Thank you, Shamir, for being transparent. And Rob, yes. But I'm definitely. Yes, it's a lot. And right there with you. And Elizabeth, we've had the conversations before. One of my girlfriends, very close girlfriends, told me the same thing that you did. When it works for me. And same as what Shamir was talking about. As long as it's working for you, even though you say you want one thing over here, but as long as it's working for you, you're not going to change it. So at the end of the day, you just have to say, okay, well, that's working for me. And do I want to change it and work to change it? So I'm right there with you.
And it's okay.
So now that we know the rules, Elizabeth, we need a little bit more help.
I was just going to say, if Shamir decides today, look, I really don't want to be married. I just want to date a lot of attractive men. That's her decision. It's her life. And in the end, she may be really disappointed. Like, time goes on. I wish I would have went back to that nice guy.
My pastor's probably watching this. Pastor, listen, no, that ain't what I said. I'm a good girl. That ain't say that.
The church is going to be side-eyeing you on Sunday.
Yes, no.
Dating
virtually.
I ain't said that.
Dating is a trial period, right? Dating is a period to get to know someone and to see like who they are and to see if they're compatible with you. So no, dating, I think dating gets a dirty word. People automatically think if you're dating people, that means you're sleeping with a lot of people. I think you should date.
Right.
I think you should date multiple people in the beginning till you figure out and assess like what you want, because I think you get a clear idea of what you like, what you don't like. Men do it all the time.
They do it all the time.
Hey, Elizabeth, we're like spirit animals, just so you know, because I just had this exact same conversation with someone. It's like a weaning process, right? Like you have. Yeah.
Rob, you're a know-it-all. That's why you're single. You're a know-it-all.
But you know, I have to
between Rob and Shamir. I don't know.
See, I've been.
I have to agree, though. I have to agree on that one.
Absolutely.
Telling me everything. Rob would be trying to be my parent.
Listen, I just been through enough. That's it.
Someone said, "Date
right.
like
He has been through enough.
Facts.
Right. So Elizabeth, the new question, this is TT and I, a new question when you're talking to somebody, you're meeting someone new and you ask them if they're dating someone and they say no, you got to turn around and ask them, but does anyone think they're dating you?
Yeah, the follow-up question.
Hey, that question is gold, people. Everyone who's listening, put that in your arsenal. I'm telling you, it's gold. It's gold.
I've heard it all. I've heard people
gold.
say, I remember somebody I was dating at one point, and they seemed really like too good to be true. You know how you just know, you're like, something's off here. And I just happened, and my friend said, you need to ask that person if they're in a relationship. And so I said to the person, hey, are you like seeing someone else? And they said, oh, I have a situation. I said, oh, is that what they're calling it now? So it is important to ask these questions before you get emotionally vested, because people, they do lie. That is a part of dating as well.
Men lie. Yes, y'all do. Woo.
Men and women. And women.
Men lie. Numbers don't lie. Is that what it's saying? Men lie, women lie.
Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. That's true.
Yeah.
What else is on your mind? What are you guys thinking?
Absolutely.
Do you have a delay, Pam? It sounds like Pam may have a delay.
So help us out some more, Elizabeth. Now that we know the rules, what are the actionable items that you can tell us for singles that can keep us connected and we can continue to talk?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, we talked a lot about it. I think first is doing that inventory with yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think, first of all, we talked about it, is doing that active inventory with yourself, like getting clear with yourself. I like how Rob and Shamir are bringing it tonight, because these are the things we don't talk about. We kind of don't want to acknowledge things. We want to like pacify or act like, oh, it's not my problem, it's the other person's problem. But by the time you're to like person number 5, 6, or 7, and it's the same problem, we got to realize that we got to recognize what we can correct. But I think there's a lot of fun things people could do during quarantine. There's a really cool website out there called Quarandate. So literally you go on like a virtual date with someone, a blind date, and there's a facilitator who's like your pandemic wingman that facilitates the date. And you're on for 40 minutes, but if you don't like the person, you can exit right away. If you like the person, you can continue your conversations. I think it's an informal way to get to know people. And just like Rob and Shamir, we all said this before, and TT and Pam, now people got to get creative. They got to bring better game. It's going back to like old school dating. You got to talk to people. You got to get to know people. So like this is a good time to feel people out and figure out who they are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we want to talk about various ways that we can do it now. And we want to know, what do you guys think, Rob and Shamir, about online dating and meeting people on that platform?
No.
No? You said no? Absolutely not.
I mean, I'm a people person, right? Like I have to. That just never worked out for me. Not to say, I guess social media is kind of the same thing, right? Facebook, Instagram, it's kind of the same thing. But the actual like, Match.com and Christian Mingle for you heathens. I don't I don't know. Online dating has just never really been my thing. I tried it once before. I just need to feel that energy, man. I need to actually be able to reach out and touch you, maybe be around you, like hear that unspoken truth that you're not telling me. You know what I'm saying? Like that. It just never worked out for me. So I'm not a fan of it. not to say that it hasn't worked out in some situations, but I know it has. I know a couple that I know that's been married for like maybe 8 years now, and they met online, so that actually worked out for them. It just hasn't proved to work that well for me.
Well,
Okay.
you know, Facebook has a dating app.
Yeah,
And
Facebook is a dating app.
and it runs in the background because I've never put on my page about being single in a relationship. I never posted anybody, but I've never, I don't have it on my page. But I keep getting these friend requests from people, and I go and look at their page, and they're single. So I'm like, well, I guess Facebook have determined that I'm single, so they're going to try to get people to add me that are single. But I've met people from online or whatever, and they were cool, but it just never worked out. Like I never met any weirdos. I never had any dangerous situations, but we always met somewhere public. Like I ain't going to your house, dude. No, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
But I've not had any crazy experiences, but it's never worked out either.
Yeah.
So quickly, I want to know from our online audience, are you pro online dating and connecting online, or are you not? What's the temperature in the room about online dating right now? Kimberly says blind dates wouldn't work then. Anybody else? Are you for it or are you against it?
So can I say, what is an actual blind date? Like, what does that look like? Like, I mean, I hear people say that all the time. Like, what does that look like? Like, I never see the person until I actually, like, how does that work?
I think it's just when you don't know the person before you have the date. So like maybe you talk to them on the phone or something, but then you actually go physically see them. I think it's like it's no visual there before you actually go on a physical date.
Okay.
What a sarcastic question, by the way. Did I just catch some New York sarcasm?
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
So I think that like when it comes to dating, you got to do what works for you. Going back to that, you got to do what works for you. Some people like online dating. I prefer like face to face. That's how I met my significant other. Like I'm like you guys. I like to see the person, be able to touch the person, interact with the person. And online dating, it feels like I used to feel like I would get so overwhelmed by it personally.
Yeah, it's a lot. But I don't go nowhere, so I wasn't meeting anybody out in the streets. Like ain't nobody coming up to me at Walmart or at the gas station.
You gotta approach people too. Like men are so afraid to approach. I coach men. Men are so afraid to coach women because we're living in the Me Too movement. Number one, and number two, it's like they have the same nervousness and apprehension that you have. They don't even know if they have a shot a lot of times. So they find it very flattering when a woman actually approaches them. And you don't have to be aggressive about it. It's just a smile. It's a hello. It's an invitation to engage.
Shoot that shot.
So if you see someone cute this weekend, get your mask on, your Tar Heel mask. I got a Tar Heel mask too, by the way. I like the Tar Heels. This weekend, you're at the grocery store and you see someone, like go for it. Like that could be your test just to see, say hello. How are you doing? If you notice something you like about them, because I could tell you like people actually
shoot that shot.
You can tell like what, Elizabeth?
I said I could tell you like attributes. So like, comment on something. If they have a nice watch, if they have a nice shirt on, guys don't get, I've learned this from my significant other. Guys don't get complimented as much as women do. We're used to guys constantly, saying, hey, baby, talk to me. Like we get that a lot more than men do. So when a man gets it, it's like, they're like kind of impressed by it. So don't be afraid to go out your comfort zone. Sometimes you have to go for what you want.
Facts.
Okay.
All right.
Somebody said ain't nobody cute with a mask on.
Did
you see that?
Yeah, I was reading that.
I see it.
Well, since I think Pam may be delayed, so I'm gonna go ahead and ask this next question for her because I'm not sure what's going on with her audio. So as we expounded on staying connected, I think we're like half and half on this online thing. Like one side is pro and the other is not. We want to talk a little bit about being emotionally connected during these times. So social distancing does not have to translate into emotional distancing, right? As a matter of fact, some prefer the term physical distancing. That doesn't mean that we have to not connect, rather than social distancing. So because people can still maintain some level of social connection in many positive ways, Elizabeth, could you expound a little bit more on the importance as you're single and dating of finding ways to communicate and still maintain social connections during this time with the person that you're trying to find out whether they're the one?
Yeah, we're human and we have needs and wants, and it's very normal as humans for us to want interaction with someone we care about or someone we're in the beginning stages of trying to figure out if it's going somewhere, right? So I think it's completely okay to have, you know, social interaction. That shouldn't be cut off right now. And I think what I enjoyed is people are getting really creative with it. So I thought love story, I'm a sucker for a love story. Of this couple where the guy, he was in his apartment building, he saw the girl dancing one day during quarantine. You probably heard about this.
It's so cute, yeah.
And so he's like, I gotta see what this woman is. Cause I mean, you're in quarantine, someone's happy, they're singing and dancing. So he found that very attractive. So he got right on it. He's like, you know, and then he started getting people around him to kind of usher him on as well. But he started doing virtual dates with her. And so they would do romantic dates virtually. Again, I mean, that's a way to still get that interaction without physically being next to someone. So then time passed on, they got to know each other, they're talking, and he's really feeling her. So he got one of those like balls that you blow up and he went and took flowers and they did a walking date. So, you know, you can get creative right now. You can do a drive-by date, drop off a letter to someone you care about. You know, you can go old school, a note, let them know you're thinking about them. You can do a face-to-face where you stop by, you know, in the driveway, talk to them if you're not really sure if they have the Rona, because people are really worried about the Rona, which is legitimate, just to get like that social interactive piece. So I think you can get creative about the things you're doing. Just because you don't have people in your physical space doesn't mean you can create the social interactions.
Guys ain't putting in that much work. Hey.
Shamir.
Guys ain't putting in
Your guys.
So right. So Shamir, I'm gonna have to correct the ladies. Ladies, if you're listening, I have had great experiences dating. Pam knows that. Like, I have had upstanding guys who put together the date and everything. So I'm gonna put it out there. There's still some creative.
There's some good guys out there.
There's some good guys out there.
There's some good guys out there.
Good guys, stand up. You there?
They're there.
Not Shamir.
So, that brings me to you, Rob.
Yes, ma'am.
You, Rob, you are creative in everything that you do.
That's right. So, we got one right there, Rob. Wave your hand, Rob.
Listen,
right. So,
listen, I'm telling you, I saw something that I was kind of mad that I didn't do. It was kind of like along with what Elizabeth said. But it was a guy that saw another lady. She was on a rooftop. She was dancing, and he was like, "Yo, why is she so happy doing Corona?" So he took his drone, like the.
It's the same story.
The same story,
thing, right? Yeah. So I didn't hear the drone part, but that's the same one I saw too. And I was like, "Yo, that is super
Yeah, it was sweet.
Yeah,
it was sweet.
Yeah, I like that.
I've heard of people doing like date nights where they do a theme. You know, like they make the room look like a nightclub, and they're like, "We're gonna do this virtual date." I've heard of people doing like a party with their friends with games and things like that. So I think if you're even not knowing who you want to date right now, it's a good time to just collaborate and be around people, because you're more you're more in sync with things right now. You're paying attention, and you actually have to interact, and you learn a lot with people just listening and observing. I think we're more tuned into it because we're tired of Netflix binging and watching TV, right? And our technology. So we're actually paying attention to human behavior.
Absolutely. And some of the creative things that I've seen.
Can you guys hear me? I'm back. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. We can hear you.
Welcome back.
We can hear you.
You hear me? Okay, good.
So one of the
I want to be a part of the conversation.
Hold on, PT trying to talk.
So Elizabeth, talk to us about, now that we're back, we're going to be opening up. Yeah, okay. Soon we're going to be opening up. Do you have any?
So I think she's asking me, like, once the states open up, like, how should we date? I mean,
can't get back in.
Yeah, and I think what we really wanted to get at is, so we know that there's things that you can do that's like cooking together and things like that. But things are going to open back up, and you still have this epidemic that's going on, this pandemic as they call it. So how can you actually be safe while dating?
Be cautious. I mean, like, make sure that the person that you're interacting with is willing to adhere to the guidelines that the state and the medical professionals are asking people to do. So are they wearing a mask? Are they willing to do that? I mean, don't endanger your life. But again, like I said, you know, people, I wish they were this vigilant about STIs and STDs as they are about Corona. Like, you know, it's not the same thing.
Yes.
Corona is a highly contagious disease, but like exercise the same diligence you would exercise if you were going to be physically intimate with someone. You would take precautions, you would get tests, you would say, okay, what's your history? So with Corona, we know we've been recommended by CDC guidelines to wear a mask, to maintain so much, you know, distance apart. So find out about the person, where are they at? Because that's true. If a person is interacting a lot within society, that could be a higher risk. So you just have to be aware and exercise awareness around making that move to date that person.
Absolutely. Okay. So as we wrap up this episode, our last episode, we actually talked with Margaret Brunson about thinking about who you want to be when you come out of the quarantine and the pandemic. And I'd love for everyone here to share with us, who would you like to be, or who do you want to be overall when you come out of this?
Who wants to go first?
I'll start.
Let's start.
Go ahead.
I was actually going to say you. I was going to say, let's start with Shamir.
Oh, okay. So, and this is one of the great
question.
things about being single during this time, because I have zero excuses. I don't have kids. I don't have a husband. I don't have any reason not to be successful. So after this quarantine, I want to come out with a new certification. I'm pursuing my project management certification right now. I'm taking the exam a couple of months. Like, I have no reason not to focus and study. So that's my first thing. The other thing is I want to come out fit, right? So I'm working out. I got to get this eating together, but I want to come out fitter, right? So those are my two focus things: coming out with a new certification and coming out looking better.
All right.
Oh, that's all physical stuff. You see the physical should be. We're coming intermediate.
Talk later, Shamir. I'll give you my information.
The inner me. I want to come out. Inner me. I'll come back. Come back to me on that.
We'll come back to you.
Hey, but
Rob is shaking his head like,
she's thinking about it now. She's thinking about it, which is good. That's good.
Goodness.
Oh man. All right. So Rob, how do you want to come out of this thing?
I don't know how to follow that, but honestly, kind of like what I talked about earlier, I really wanted to get back to me, meaning like centered, understanding that, you know, I am that person that likes to take on these projects and people that are broken like myself and things like that. So I want to kind of get into a better headspace, or be into a better headspace where I can recognize that more, if that makes sense, or sooner, I should say. Not that I'm never not going to be that, because I think I'll always be like that. I've always been like that, but just kind of lessen it, if that makes sense. And then, like Elizabeth said, maybe find that person or start dealing with those people that are a little less broken. You know, I definitely want to do that. I want to come out much better than I went in, if that makes sense. I know that sounds cliche, but that's a real thing. Because like I said, in all this downtime and just getting to know myself and resting, my thoughts are much clearer. So I want my life to kind of follow suit and be a whole lot clearer, just streamlined.
Exactly. All right.
What about you,
So Elizabeth, for me. No, we're not doing that yet. It doesn't turn on the host yet.
I think we need to hear from you.
Elizabeth, tell us about how do you want to come out of this?
You know, I honestly feel like I'm in a good space. Like, even before this happened, I had a really good sense of like my priorities, and what's happened throughout this pandemic is it's just made things even more crystal clear, like where I'm aligned, where I'm supposed to be. And so I'm just focusing on that purpose. I have a great partner. I feel very blessed in that way. I have a great daughter. I feel blessed in that way as well. I got past the 16-year mark. So my daughter's grown. So good luck for the next couple of years. But so I just feel, and I feel more attuned with my spirituality, which is my center. So for me, I just want to maintain that. And as we get past this pandemic, not forget about those things, because life has a way of revving us up and getting us distracted. So I just want to, I think if I stay linear in that, everything else will kind of work itself out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so before shifting to me, let's see if Pam is able to. Are you able to talk now, Pam? Can we hear you?
She looks frozen.
Is it frozen?
I don't know, but it looks like the same thing she's been making for like
That's
10 minutes.
good. Can you guys hear me now?
You can.
Yes, we can hear you. So how do you want to come out of this, Pam?
I hope so. Can you hear me?
She's still delayed. She is still delayed. Well, one of our guests, one of our audience members, Kimberly said, I'm coming out of this as Maya Angelou or Moses. And if you know Kimberly, that's probably true.
Right.
She's going to come out of this.
I like her now.
The devil.
Or Moses. Yes, exactly. So she is going to come out of this as Maya Angelou and Moses. And I appreciate that.
Oh, wow. That's good.
See, it's delayed. It's delayed. So for myself, the way that I hope to come out of this is purpose, as still purpose driven, clarity on purpose. I actually recently today just inquired about becoming a meditation instructor. It's something that I've been passionate about pushing. So
It's
I have the
delayed.
time. I have the time. So
That's awesome.
that
I
is
love
it.
it. That's good.
Meditation is really powerful with prayer. It's like it gives you a lot of clarity, and you probably feel that if you meditate regularly. So that's awesome
Mhm.
for you.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So we have a question that we ask all of our guests. We've already asked Rob this question before, but we'll start off with you, Elizabeth. Do you actually think it is possible to balance it all? That means work, family, friends, dating, relationships, the whole thing.
No. I think.
All right, tell us why.
Yeah, I'll tell you. So someone told me an analogy many years ago, and they say you have all these balls in the air. There's
Mhm.
work, family, life, right? Life is probably your friends, all that. There's work, and then there's the family piece. And they're like, it's okay if those balls drop as long as the one with family doesn't drop. And I was early in my career when someone gave me this analogy, and I was like, what are you talking about? It's all about making the money. It's all about being successful. And then as I got more and more career-oriented success, I realized that you could be very successful, but if you don't have a legacy or something that you're focused on outside of that, and you let that ball drop, that's a ball you can't get back. Everything else is replaceable. Jobs are replaceable. Friends will come and go. But like your family, and even I would add your spirituality, those are things that are they're permanent. And if those things drop, that's when everything gets haywire, which is why when they talk about the top stressors, what are they? It's when people get divorced. That's family, disconnection. So for me, I don't feel like you can always balance it all. I feel like you have to prioritize what's important to you at different moments in your life to get to where you want to get to. And that's there's going to be balls that get dropped. It's just going to happen.
Absolutely. So Rob, did you want to let everyone else know what your thought is on this?
I mean, I do. I mean, but my thing is kind of like what Elizabeth is saying, though. But I feel like because I try to incorporate my family and that, like my daughter and everything, into everything that I do, right? So, for example, we had I take videos and photos. So yesterday, I had to shoot a graduation drive-through. I don't know if you guys have seen these, but like the birthdays where people driving a car. Tried to do that. So my daughter, I was like, she's been talking about photography and things like that. So I was like, well, do you want to go? Do you want to make some money? She was like, absolutely. What do you think? I was like, okay, well, cool. So she went and things like that. It's like I'm always trying to actively involve her and my family, like my mom, my brothers, things like that. So I'm always trying to involve those people in everything because family to me is foundational. I do not believe it's one of those pieces that you can get back as you stated. But I do think there is a great balance that comes along with incorporating all of those things together. But again, that's my personal opinion.
Okay. All right. And Shamir, your take on it?
Balance. I don't know. What I have to balance. I'm just me, right? So I gotta work on not being so selfish. Wait a minute, Rob. First of all, it's Shamir. Anyway, but no, when you think
Shamir,
about,
are you the only child?
Yes.
No, I'm the baby though. No, I'm
You're
not.
the baby. You're one of the two. One of the two.
I have a younger sister, but we're half siblings. So I'm
okay.
Anyway, another subject.
Baby.
But yeah, I'm baby of my mom's kids. So when I think about what balance would be, as I try to imagine what it'd be like as a mom, you know, and then you have a spouse and all that stuff too. I think that, you know, if you put something down for a moment, you're still balancing. Like, say for instance, you know, right now I have social life, I'm hanging out with my friends, I get married, I can't hang out as much. But that's like, I choose to put that doesn't it mean I still have to have balance? Doesn't it mean I'm still balanced? Right? Because I'll put this thing down for now, I feel like I was to be balanced, but I don't know. So in answer your question, yes, I feel like it is possible to balance it all. You just got to remember, you know, why these things are important, you know, why you're doing them. And then also don't get so caught up in it. But that's easy for me to say right now. I'm not balancing anything about myself. Ask me in 5 years.
All right. Okay. Well, before we go, if anyone in the audience has any questions, we're going to give it a couple seconds. While everyone is telling you how they can connect with you, go ahead and ask any questions that you have down in the comments if you have them. But while that's happening, Elizabeth, can you tell everyone how they can get in touch with you?
Yeah, so a couple things you mentioned. I do have a book. It's on Amazon called Love You and He Will Too, The Smart Woman's Roadmap for Happy, Healthy Relationships. Guys, read my book too, Rob. So that's
I'm
Rob, yeah, you need that, Rob. Rob needs that one.
Listen, there. I'm in there.
And then if you guys want to find me, my website is thenewrulesofdating.com. And then you can also find me on Twitter under The New Rules of Dating, and also on Facebook and Instagram as well.
Okay. Okay. All right. And Rob, how can everyone get in touch with you?
I don't have a book, but that's okay. By the time this quarantine is over, I just might. But on Facebook, I'm Rob McKiver. So it's ROB MCKIVER. On the social site being IG, Twitter, and things like that, I am random_roe. So that's random_ROE. Or you can find me at the Gents Life Apparel on IG. I'm all over the place, man. I'm not hard to find, but definitely stay in contact. This was powerful. I appreciate you guys having me on, and look forward to whatever comes next.
Yeah, and Rob, I think you owe Elizabeth a little fee for this session that we just went through.
We're spirit animals.
Hey, it was deep. It was deep. We dug deep. We dug deep, man.
No, I appreciate all of you guys. I enjoy talking to people and helping people, and that's what you're feeling from me. It's just, I want people to feel that love, that for themselves first of all, but also to be able to have it with the right person. I just think, like, because a relationship affects everything in your life. If that's
you gotta get those three back together again.
Yep.
I don't know what you're talking about.
She's delayed, guys. She's delayed.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, to you, Pam. Yes.
Continue, Elizabeth.
No, but I was just gonna say, I appreciate Shamir and Rob and Pam and TT. I appreciate you guys being honest and vulnerable and just, you know, being willing to go there. I think until you can get through those layers, we can't move forward. So I appreciate you guys being willing to share your vulnerabilities with me too.
Thank you, Rob.
That is so delayed. We apologize for the delay with Pam.
Pam.
But Shamir, tell us how we can get in touch.
I mean, I'm right here on Facebook. I'm not active on Instagram.
And Shamir just got a new position too, guys. So let's congratulate Shamir.
Thank y'all.
Yeah.
30 days in. I appreciate the love. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
So the best. I'm on LinkedIn and I'm on Facebook. That's it. I'm not active on Instagram.
Excellent. Excellent. So we don't have any questions from the audience. We just have that it was great information. Everyone on here, we wish you the absolute best in your singlehood and dating. Thank you for joining us this week for our special Facebook Live Happiest Hour. This is our first Happiest Hour. We really, really thank you guys and hope that you enjoyed it. Make sure to visit us on our website, theartofbalancingitall.com, where you can join our tribe. You can also see the other episodes that we've had, including episode 6 that features Rob. You can join us also on iTunes, Podbean, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, where we'll have this episode that we just did today in audio format. And also we have a surprise. If you're still here, we have a surprise. We're going to drop a special Mother's Day episode on Mother's Day. So please check us out on Sunday morning. It'll be sitting there waiting for you. And follow us on Twitter, on social, on Instagram, and on Facebook. I hate that Pam can't join me. She's back, but I think she's still delayed. But leave us a rating. We love you guys. We love our audience, and we love all of our panelists. You were so dope. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having
See you
us.
next
This was so
time.
fun.
We appreciate
All
you.
right.
Bye, everyone. Thanks again. Bye.
Bye.
No, I'm right here.
Perfect timing. Yes. Did you guys see that? She came in at the
Love. I was
end.
ready
I'm
for you.
doing a touchdown emoji.
Always on time, yo. Just like Jesus. May not come when you want, but she's always on time. Look at it.
Oh man. It's still a little delay. All right. We're signing off.
Peace.
Have a
Bye.
great Friday.